Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself a powerful question. What if the very supplements you take to protect your health are silently destroying your legs? Yesterday, we're going to flip the script on what we think we know about vitamins. I'm talking about the three most commonly consumed healthy vitamins that many believe are doing them good, but are in fact disrupting neuromuscular integrity, compromising blood flow, and weakening your leg muscles over time. And I don't say this lightly. What I'm about to share is based on hard data, peer-reviewed studies, and what we now understand about the intersection between nutrition, neurobiology, and musculoskeletal health. Vitamin E has long been promoted as a powerful antioxidant that protects the body from oxidative stress and supports immune function. However, recent studies and emerging clinical observations have shown that when consumed in excessive amounts, especially in synthetic or isolated supplement form, vitamin E can actually disrupt essential cellular signaling processes, particularly in skeletal muscle. Muscle adaptation and growth are heavily dependent on a delicate balance of oxidative and antioxidative activity. When we exercise, muscles naturally produce reactive oxygen species ROS, which act as signaling molecules that trigger muscle repair, mitochondrial growth, and strength gains. This mild oxidative stress is not harmful. In fact, it's necessary. High doses of vitamin E, especially beyond the recommended daily intake, can suppress this oxidative signaling. When this happens, the body loses the signal that tells it to repair and rebuild muscle fibers. Over time, this suppression can lead to reduced mitochondrial density, slower energy production, and a decline in overall muscle function. The legs, being large and constantly active muscles, are particularly vulnerable to this effect. People taking large amounts of vitamin E may unknowingly hinder their muscle recovery and resilience, especially after walking, climbing stairs, or performing lower body workouts. Furthermore, excessive antioxidant intake like vitamin E can interfere with the hormetic stress response, which is the body's natural adaptation process to mild challenges. Without those small stress signals, the body has no reason to fortify itself, resulting in decreased endurance, slower regeneration, and loss of muscular responsiveness. Over time, this can manifest as unexplained fatigue in the legs, muscle weakness, and even greater risk of falls or injury, especially in older adults. Another factor to consider is the source of vitamin E. Natural forms derived from whole foods such as nuts, seeds, and leafy greens are typically well regulated by the body. However, synthetic supplements often come in isolated forms that the body may not metabolize efficiently, leading to accumulation or imbalanced ratios with other fat-soluble vitamins like A and K, which play a role in muscle and bone health. This doesn't mean vitamin E is inherently bad. It is essential for many functions, but like all nutrients, it must be consumed in the right dose and context. Relying too heavily on supplements without medical guidance or proper testing may unintentionally create conditions that undermine leg strength and muscular performance, the very outcomes many people are trying to enhance. Understanding this mechanism is key to making smarter, more effective health choices. Vitamin D is often hailed as one of the most essential nutrients for overall health, particularly in supporting bone density, immune function, and hormone regulation. However, while it is vital in appropriate amounts, the widespread use of high-dose vitamin D supplements, often taken without medical supervision, has led to a growing concern in the medical community. One of the lesser-known risks of excessive vitamin D intake is its potential to cause soft tissue calcification, a condition where calcium accumulates in places it doesn't belong, including muscles, blood vessels, and joints. This is especially problematic for the legs, which depend on vascular flexibility and muscle elasticity for movement, balance, and endurance. When vitamin D levels are too high, the body begins to absorb and retain more calcium than necessary. While this might initially seem like a benefit for bone health, the surplus calcium doesn't only go to the bones. Instead, it can start depositing in soft tissues throughout the body. In the legs, this may lead to stiffened muscles, reduced range of motion, and impaired circulation. Arteries and capillaries in the lower body can become partially calcified, which restricts blood flow and reduces oxygen delivery to the working muscles. The result is a subtle but progressive decline in leg function, which may show up as heaviness, tightness, and increased fatigue even during basic physical activities like walking or standing. The damage doesn't stop with the muscles and blood vessels. Joints can also be affected. Calcium deposits around the knee, hip, or ankle joints may contribute to joint stiffness and pain, mimicking arthritis-like symptoms. Over time, this calcification reduces joint flexibility, increases inflammation, and can even alter movement mechanics, placing more strain on muscles and connective tissue. Individuals might not immediately associate these symptoms with their vitamin D intake, especially since the vitamin is typically seen as beneficial or harmless. However, the biochemical impact of unregulated supplementation can be significant, especially when doses exceed what the body actually requires. It is also worth noting that vitamin D works in concert with other nutrients, particularly vitamin K2, which helps direct calcium to the bones and away from soft tissue. Without proper balance, excess vitamin D can push calcium into areas where it causes harm. This highlights the complexity of nutrient interactions and the importance of avoiding isolated high-dose supplementation without guidance. For those relying on vitamin D to improve energy, mood, or bone strength, it's essential to monitor blood levels and understand that more is not always better. Protecting leg health means using vitamin D intelligently, not excessively. Vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, plays a vital role in many bodily processes, including neurotransmitter synthesis, immune function, and red blood cell production. It is essential in small, carefully balanced amounts. However, when taken in excess, especially through fortified foods, energy drinks, or high-dose supplements, it can become neurotoxic. Unlike some other B vitamins, B6 is water, soluble, but still has a unique ability to build up in body tissues when consumed in large amounts over time. This accumulation poses a serious risk to the peripheral nervous system, which includes the nerves that extend into the arms and legs. One of the most documented consequences of B6 toxicity is peripheral neuropathy. This condition affects the sensory nerves, leading to a range of troubling symptoms that are often first noticed in the lower limbs. Individuals may experience numbness, tingling, burning sensations, or even electric shock, like pain in their feet, calves, and thighs. These symptoms often start subtly and can gradually worsen, eventually leading to muscle weakness, difficulty walking, and poor coordination. Because these symptoms resemble those of other common conditions, such as diabetes or poor circulation, B6 toxicity is frequently misdiagnosed or overlooked. In cases of long-term or high-dose B6 use, the damage to the nerves can become severe and even irreversible. The leg muscles rely heavily on healthy nerve signals to maintain balance, posture, and locomotion. When those nerves are impaired, muscle function declines rapidly. People may begin to notice clumsiness, instability when standing or walking, or an increased risk of tripping and falling. This is particularly concerning for older adults, where such declines in mobility can drastically reduce independence and quality of life. What makes this issue more complex is that many individuals take vitamin B6 with the belief that it will boost energy or cognitive function. While B6 is involved in brain health, more is not better. In fact, chronic overuse is what flips its role from supportive to damaging. Most people already get adequate B6 through their diets, especially those consuming meats, whole grains, and vegetables. Adding large supplemental doses on top of an already sufficient intake tips the balance and introduces unnecessary risk. Ultimately, while vitamin B6 is necessary for nerve health, taking it without monitoring or need can backfire, particularly in the legs where the consequences of nerve damage become physically and functionally obvious. Awareness and moderation are key. Regular blood testing and a diet-first approach help ensure that this essential nutrient supports health rather than undermines it. In today's health-conscious culture, many people turn to supplements as a quick fix to boost their well-being, assuming that more vitamins automatically translate to better health. However, this belief often overlooks a crucial truth. Supplementation should be personalized and carefully monitored. Vitamins are powerful biochemical agents, and when used without proper context or medical oversight, they can do more harm than good, especially when it comes to maintaining muscle and nerve health in the legs. Every individual has a unique nutritional profile influenced by genetics, diet, lifestyle, age, and pre-existing health conditions. What works for one person may not be necessary or even safe for another. For example, someone who spends little time outdoors might benefit from vitamin D supplementation, while another individual with regular sun exposure may already have optimal levels. Supplementing both with the same high dose could be beneficial for one and harmful for the other. The danger lies in treating supplements as universally harmless, rather than as targeted tools that should be used based on actual need and biological evidence. This becomes even more important when dealing with fat-soluble vitamins like D and E, which can accumulate in the body over time. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that are usually excreted when consumed in excess, fat-soluble ones can build up in tissues and organs, increasing the risk of toxicity and side effects. In the case of the legs, excess vitamin D can lead to calcium deposits in soft tissues and arteries, impairing blood flow and causing stiffness. Too much vitamin E can interfere with muscle recovery and mitochondrial function, leading to muscle fatigue and weakness. The assumption that these vitamins are safe simply because they're essential nutrients is a major misunderstanding. Equally problematic is the unregulated use of B vitamins, particularly B6, which is commonly added to energy drinks, protein powders, and multivitamins. Although B6 is water-soluble, it can still build up in the nervous system and lead to peripheral neuropathy if overconsumed. Without testing blood levels or assessing symptoms, people may be unknowingly consuming far more than they need, setting themselves up for nerve damage that primarily affects the lower body. The key to avoiding these risks is a data-driven, personalized approach. That means getting regular blood tests, consulting with qualified health professionals, and choosing supplements based on actual deficiencies or clinical goals, not marketing claims or general trends. When supplementation is guided by evidence and tailored to the individual, it becomes a powerful tool for protecting health. When taken blindly, it becomes a hidden threat, especially to the legs, which reflect early signs of systemic imbalance.